Okay, so I wanted to hop on here today and really talk about a common issue that I see all the time. And this issue is one of overthinking. So let me know if this sounds familiar. You get an idea, you get a vision, you listen to powerful content. Um, and you know that you have to do something. You know you have an insight, you have a breakthrough of something that you must do. Maybe you have to launch your own content platform, or quit your 9 to 5, or make a bold decision that in the moment is really scary for you. And here's what happens. In that moment, you're 100% clear. You're clear, you're certain, you're emotionally engaged. But every moment that you wait between the time that you get the insight to the time that you execute is a moment for the ego to start to convince yourself out of the insight. Now, we've all experienced this, right? You get an insight, you're excited about it, you're enthusiastic, you're ready, you buy the domain name, you sign up the website, you launch the social media platform, and then you wake up 3 days later and you've talked yourself out of it. Or maybe you bring it up to a friend and they say, oh, that's not realistic. It's not a good time to start your own business. This is coronavirus, or there's an election. You shouldn't be doing that. You should get realistic. You should play it safe. And so often we take that at face value. And so their doubt mirrors our doubt and we stop. So today I want to do a 10-minute video on what I'm teaching people and what I'm doing myself for the rest of the year. Because when we live in overthinking, when we live in procrastination, when we live in paralysis analysis, should I do this? Should I not do this? We rob ourselves of clarity, momentum, growth, results, and progress. And when you mix all of those together, to me, that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of mental health issues. If you're always breaking promises to yourself, if you're always gathering insights but never moving forward, if you're always living in a land of maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't, you're naturally going to be in an emotional state that is not serving you. You're going to be in an emotional state that's causing you distress. And if you go down that path long enough, it turns into regret, despair, discouragement, possibly even depression. So this is a really important matter. So I'm going to go through a couple simple frameworks here to help you take what I call messy, courageous action, right? And this is something I'm teaching in all my groups right now, on the podcast, et cetera, because we often wait for perfect. We often wait for the perfect website, the perfect platform, the perfect tools, right? The perfect tools to do a video, the perfect logo, the perfect time. And I'm here to tell you there will never be a perfect time. I'm here to tell you the website will never look perfect to you. I'm here to tell you that the perfect technology will overwhelm you. I'm here to tell you that the perfect time will never come. I'm here to tell you that life will not get less busy. It will not get less hectic. There won't be some magical opening for 3 months where you can finally do the thing that you wanted to do. You have to create it. And how do you create it? You take messy, courageous, and consistent action before you're ready, before you feel like it's time, before you feel like you're capable, before you get permission from your parents, teachers, or other authorities. That's how you do it. And here's the reality. The person that you and I look up to, the person that you look up to, maybe it's a business leader, an entrepreneur, maybe it is a speaker, maybe it's a musician, maybe it's an artist, maybe it's a incredible person with a incredible home and family life. Whoever it is that you look up to, they're only in that place because they were willing to take messy action. They were willing to go through the suck. They were willing to look dumb or be made fun of or look like an amateur or look like a rookie, but they didn't care because they knew deep down that their ability to take messy action courageously and consistently would lead to the results that they were looking for. It doesn't happen the other way around. Your first at bat will not be a home run. It will not be a grand slam. And so we have to be very aware. You have to be aware. I have to be aware that anytime you have an insight, and I'm going to give you a framework, 3 things to make sure that you're taking messy action. Anytime that you have an insight, you have to bring it to life within 12 hours or less. You have to do something in your reality that changes your reality and reminds you of why it matters. A couple of years ago, I wrote a book called The 1% Rule. It's up there. I had an insight during a coaching session with a client, and we were talking about progress and results. And I said, here's the deal, dude. All you have to do is stack bricks every single day. 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. And I was telling him about why this matters, the compounding effect. And I said, you know what? That's a great title for a book, The 1% Rule. And I got an insight that day. And I knew that if I didn't execute on that insight, it would just leave the ether. I get book titles all the time, right? And that day, I sprinted over to the co-working station that I was in because we were doing a session, and I wrote the first 500 words. So here's the framework. Number 1, the 12-hour rule. And really, it should be called the 30-second rule or the 10-minute rule, but I'll give you 12 hours. But anytime you get an insight, an idea, that hint of clarity, and it feels right to you, and it's in alignment, execute within 12 hours or less to bring it to life. That's number 1. Number 2, to the degree that you're willing to take messy action early on is to the degree that you can expect momentum, clarity, and results. So one of my favorite things to do is to go back, do a little bit of research. So pick someone you admire or somebody that you want to emulate and go back to their first iteration. Okay. So 5 years ago, I started a podcast. It's called Resist Average Academy. We've had millions of downloads. We've had people like Joe Dispenza, Lewis House, Chase Jarvis. I don't know. The list is just crazy at this point. But early on, I found myself overwhelmed trying to be like everybody else's podcast in terms of quality and production. So the second part of this framework is to give yourself permission to go back and look at somebody's first iteration. That will give you confidence to take messy, courageous action. Because guess what? When I studied people's podcasts that I really admired, they weren't that good. They're honestly a little bit sloppy. The audio wasn't that good. They were clunky in their interviews. Okay. And that gave me confidence, because if you're comparing your introduction to somebody's chapter 12, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're never going to launch. You're going to think you need the perfect everything, perfect funnel, perfect website, perfect skills, perfect deliverables, perfect logo, perfect branding, perfect nothing comes to life. That's number 2. And number 3 is think of today's action as you planting a seed. Okay. So today, you and I are receiving the results of seeds that we planted 3, 6, 9, 12, 48, 72 months ago. And every day, today, we plant a seed for what? For a month, 3 months, 6 months, 5 years from now. We don't know. But the game of messy action is how many seeds can you accumulate? How many seeds can you plant that are going to create the momentum, right? That you'll be able to harvest, in a sense, 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the line or more, right? It's not going to happen if you're not doing it every single day. Now, this is not about some massive action every single day. This is just about one messy action. Right now, if you're watching this live or on the replay, there's one thing that you haven't done. There's one thing that you know you have a little bit of resistance towards, right? And resistance and fear and doubt are the reason you should do it. Because on the other side of that resistance is clarity. On the other side of that doubt is peace. On the other side of that fear is confidence. So give yourself permission to plant that seed today. And now it may come to life tomorrow. It may come to life in 6 months. It doesn't matter. You and I are not responsible for the conditions of our lives. We're responsible for the execution of those things. So this was a simple video that I want to hop on and do because I'm getting a lot of questions right now during this time. Tommy, I'm stressed. Tommy, I don't know what to do. Tommy, I have all of these ideas. And I've been exactly in all of those states. For years, I would accumulate ideas and nothing would come to life. What I realized each time when I said, oh, I need a website to do that, or I need to have a funnel to do that, or I need to have the perfect tools to do that. Um, it was a mechanism of my ego that was afraid that I was changing, that I was actually becoming the person who not only talks a big game, but actually lives a big game. And so my ego, your ego, our ego, the ego, it's not even mine or yours, is the um it's afraid of you stepping into your power. It's afraid of you launching. It's afraid of you getting to a new level of financial resources or physicality or emotional state or connection in your relationship. It's very afraid of that. Why? Because it's unfamiliar. So the ego would rather cling on to what's familiar and painful than to have the opportunity to experience something new. Why? Because something new is a threat. So I could do a whole video on that, but I want to remind you of why this matters. So inside of my groups, we're doing this thing called the Messy Challenge, where we're looking to accumulate as many messy actions as we can. So a messy action could be sending the proposal before you feel it's ready, um, putting the pitching somebody to, asking somebody of influence to do something that you normally wouldn't. It could be something in an intimate relationship. It could be finally putting yourself out there in some way. It's that energy of consistent action that's messy that helps close the gap from where you are today to the person that you want to become. And when you can close that gap, that's when the magic happens. So Academy, I haven't done a live video here on YouTube. This was my first one. So I just want to do it off the cuff. By the way, a lot of these YouTube people, they're great. They might be great at coaching. They're not great. Like everything's produced. When you put them live on camera, they don't have the material. So I'm going to be doing a lot more live video because this is my comfort zone. I live and breathe in this space, training people all of the time. So I'll do videos as they come up. But if there's some topic, if there's some question that you have, post a comment and I will do a live video addressing your challenge, addressing your obstacle, and speak to that. But I want to know, what did you get from this video in terms of taking messy, courageous action? What is one thing that you can commit to? Put it into comments. And if this connected, let me know. I want to hear from you. What are you doing to take messy, courageous action? Thank you so much for coming on today. I'll see you next time.